Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is using MAM to factor trinomials. So remember, to factor means to write a polynomial as a product of other polynomials. So when we use greatest common factor like we did in 13.1, that undoes or is used to undo the distributive property. And now we are going to use MAM factoring to undo the FOIL method. So the result of our MAM problem will look like a FOIL problem. Remember, a FOIL problem looks like something like if you had x plus 2 times x minus 4. That is a FOIL problem where you did first, outside, inside, last to get it all into one trinomial. Now we're doing the same thing backwards. So let's look at number 1 and our steps of our MAM method. So MAM stands for multiply, add, and multiply. So the first thing we're going to label is multiply, add, multiply. These are always going to be the same. And that is our first step. Label the trinomial as MAM. Next, make and fill a tic-tac box. So this means that we are going to have a box like this, and our multiply and multiply piece right here, we have a 4 and a 9. We're going to multiply those together and put them in the first box. So 4 times 9 gives me 36. So the top left corner is where our two numbers multiplied together. And again, that gave us 36. Then our add number here, our add number is 12. That is going to go on the bottom. So we have 36 and 12. These two numbers in these blanks, right here and right here, we know those have to multiply to give me 36 and add to give me 12. So if I think about it, I think, okay, I have 3 times 12 would give me 36, but those don't add to 12, those add to 15. I know 6 times 6 gives me 36, and 6 plus 6, that does give me 12, so that is my answer here. So we have a 6 and a 6. That is our step 2, filling in our tic-tac box. So our next step is to create our fractions. So the first thing you're going to do is drop the coefficient. And our coefficient in this case is 4, right here, our first coefficient. So we drop this down in 2 places, and then we are going to split the variable. So that means our x squared is going to get split up. We put 1x here and 1x here. And then to create our fractions, we're going to take those numbers that we got right here and put 1 under here and 1 under here. They just happen to be the same number in this example. And then our next step is to simplify. Number 4, can you reduce that fraction? 4 over 6. And we can. If we reduce 4 over 6, we get 2 over 3. So we have 2 over 3 x and 1. Now let's put the x on top of the 2. 2x over 3. And then same thing over here. We have 2x over 3. Last step to write our answer is to use the fractions to write the solution as a binomial times our binomial. So our first binomial, we are going to have 2x plus 3 That is our first one. We split up our fraction, so this is the one piece and this is our second piece. Then in our second binomial, again, we have this as our first piece and this as our second piece. And this is how we use the MAM method to split up a trinomial and factor it. So let's try another example. Let's look at number 2. So our first step is to label it as MAM. So we have multiply, add, multiply. Now in this case we have our multiplying terms. We have 6 and negative 6. 6 times 6 is 36. We have a negative 6 this time, so 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. Then I know that they need to add to give me a negative 5. So now I need to find two numbers that multiply to negative 36 and add to negative 5. So let's start making a list. We have negative 1 times 36. That doesn't work. Negative 2 times 18. That gives me 16. That doesn't work. Negative 3 times 12. That doesn't work. Negative 4 times 9. Let's see, negative 4 times 9, that gives me a positive 5. Well, that's close. What if I flip that negative side to the 9 instead? I could do negative 9 times 4. That gives me a negative 5. So I just came up with my two numbers. I have a negative 9 and a positive 4. So these are my two numbers that I'm going to use in my box. My next step, step number 3, is to create my fractions. So I'm going to drop this coefficient down. So I have 6 and 6, and I'm going to split my variable. So I have an x on one and an x on the other. Then I'm going to take my two numbers and make my fractions. So I have a negative 9 and a 4. Step number 4, simplify those fractions. So you can type it into your calculator and simplify, or if you know how to simplify those in your head, you can do that. 6 over negative 9 gives me 2 over negative 3. And 6 over 4, we get 3x over 2. So now that I have my two fractions, I can write those in my parentheses. So my first one, starting from the top to the bottom, I have 2x minus 3, and then I have 3x plus 2. And that is my answer. Okay, we've got 3 more that we're going to practice. So let's look at number 3. First step, label it MAM. Here, I have no coefficient. That means I have a 1 out front. So in my box, I have 1 times 32, which gives me 32. Then my add is going to be 12. So I'm going to start coming up with some numbers that multiply to 32 and figure out which ones add to 12. So if I have 1 times 32, 2 times 16, nope, not yet. I can't multiply 3 by anything. 3 times 10 gives me 30, 3 times 11 gives me 33, so I can't really use 3. Let's try 4. 4, let's see, times 8. That gives me 32. If I add 4 and 8 together, 4 plus 8 gives me 12. So that is going to be my answer for this one. I have 4 and 8. So now my next step is to drop my coefficient and split my variable. So I have 1x over here and 1x over here. And then I'm going to write my denominators, my two numbers I came up with. I have 1 over 4 and 1 over 8. Then I can't reduce these at all, so I'm ready to write my binomials. My first one, top to bottom, I have 1x, which is just x, plus 4, times 1x again, plus 8. That is my answer. Okay, number 4. First step, label it, MAM. And draw my box. My first terms, I'm multiplying together. I have 2 times 15. 2 times 15 gives me 30. My add piece here, I've got a negative 11. So let's start multiplying numbers to 30. I've got 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 4. Can't multiply anything by 4 to give me 30, so that one's not going to be it. Let's see, I have 5 times 6. 5 plus 6, that is 11, but I want negative 11. So if I make both of those numbers negative, a negative 5 times a negative 6, I still get 30, and negative 5 plus negative 6 gives me my negative 11. So those are going to be my answers. I've got negative 5 and negative 6. My next step is to drop my coefficient and split my variable. I'm going to bring my 2 numbers to the bottom of my fractions. And I can't simplify this first one. This one's going to stay 2x minus 5, but I can simplify my second one. 2 over negative 6 is 1x over negative 3. And I'm going to write my binomials. First one, starting top to bottom, I have 2x minus 5. And then I have 1x, which is just x, minus 3. This is my final answer. Okay, last question. MAM. Multiply. 2 times negative 11 gives me negative 22. And add 7. So I need to multiply to get negative 22. Let's see, negative 2 times 11. No, negative 3. Let's see, 3 doesn't go under 22. Let's try 4. 4 times. Nope, can't get 22 with 4. 5. Nope, 6. 6 doesn't work either. So you're not going to find any other multiples of 22 other than these 2 right here. Those are the only ways we can get 22. And neither of those are going to give me 7. So this trinomial right here cannot be factored because it is prime. So some of them you will not be able to do, and this is one of them.